Okay, is that the vision? Let's see if Bechtel's on the bid list. If they are, forget it. That makes sense? Well, okay, so what's our vision, guys? Pull them together and say, okay, if we don't know, let's go find out. I mean, somebody go look at somewhere and come up with a way we're going to beat the competition. What is it? I mean, do we do better with our employees? We got a higher technology? We got better equipment? What do we do differently to beat that competition, right? That's the vision. And then everybody down the line has to have their complement, their understanding, what's my role? They got to have the big vision because they got to be able to explain to Charlie or Amber or anybody, right? What is it that you ought to do when I'm interviewing you? Why should you come to work for us? Well, we're safe. Look at that safety record, right? Well, you know what? We can do some tough work. We can do some, look at how well we do, okay? So come, hook your cart to ours, and let's go down the road together, okay? So you got to have vision. Okay, what about alignment? What does that term mean in the terms of leadership? Yeah.
Once you have a vision, your actions should align with that vision.
Yeah, your actions have got to align. In fact, everybody's actions have got to align, don't they? Not just mine, but all got to see how do we translate that vision into reality, right? That's the translation. Oh, that's the academic. That's really good. Yeah, we're going to beat the competition. Sure we are. Okay, how? What's it look like tomorrow? What do I do when I get to my desk I didn't do yesterday? Well, we sure didn't win that one. Right? So we got to have that alignment. And it's got to be aligned all the way from the top to the bottom of the organization, and that's not easy to do, is it? We got to talk to, there's some conversations that got to go on here, right? Some trustworthiness issues we got to get ironed out here, right? And it might be people issues, it might be systems. You know what? That is a piece of trash that we use, we call a scheduling system or whatever it is, right? Our process, that doesn't give me what I need to know. How do you expect me to control this project when I get up? That's all you give me. It's a month late, a month and a half late. It's already done. How am I supposed to control costs when it's a month and a half late? Okay, we got to get that out. Talk about it and figure out how we're going to deal with it. What about clarity? What does that mean? Why is that a leadership issue? Yeah.
Yes, just like having the conversations about the vision so everyone understands it. If you have the vision and you're acting in a certain way, it's still confused, I guess.
Yeah. We got to ask the question. When, we get this task set up for a foreman, we want it to be the foundation of how we get things done. We beat the competition, right? Because task by task by task, we're doing it better than the competition does it, right? Okay, so when you get it all prepared and you go to the foreman and you set it down and you say, okay, we're going to get this, and this down. Can you do all of that? Well, this is not real clear here. What do you mean by that? What's it look like when I get done with this engineering process? When I give this, can you give me a go-by? What's that look like when I'm done? How do I know when I'm done? Well, if that's not clear, or how do I, do this thing productively and at the same time do it safely? In fact, how do I do both of them at the same time, right? And we're going to give some examples here in a minute of, let me just cast forward here a little bit. Okay, here we have an example of color coding on pipe. Okay, the pipe is going to come like this. Okay, this is known as a safety skid. These are prefabricated pipe segments we call spools. Okay, and on those spools, if you can see closely here, we've got color codes. Okay? Now, when you take this off of a truck, what's the advantage of having, instead of just having pipe spool delivered on the back of a truck, what's the advantage of having them on a skid like that? What advantage do we have here? Well, if you got them on the back of the truck and you deliver them to the site, what do you have to do with them? Somebody's got to go out there with a crane and a crew, and they got to offload them off the truck, don't they? Okay, one at a time, and keep them from rolling around while you do it so they don't hurt anybody, right? Okay, put some dunnage on the ground and hope that, or make sure it doesn't roll off the dunnage and hurt somebody's foot like, out of that other thing, right? All kinds of safety issues, aren't there? So some smart cookie came up with an idea of a skid. Okay, this is a frame. It's got sides on it that are posts sticking out of there. Now when we get to the job site, what can we do? What can I use to offload that? Yeah, I use a forklift, right? Or a crane. I can pick the whole thing at once and I can set it on the ground, can I? Okay, now if you're going to, let's say that you get it just in time. That is, you get the pipe, you need to install the pipe. And you're out trying to get or even offloading the pipe. If you're going to do that, where are you standing? What are your options? You can stand on the ground, right? Where else could you stand? How about on the top of the pile of pipe? Could you stand up on the truck on the pile of pipe? You could, couldn't you? To try to sling it or whatever. Yeah? Okay? So, is it safe to stand on the pile of pipe? If you can't reach it from the ground, is that safe to stand on that pile of pipe? Not so much, right? Okay, so you take it off the truck, you put it on the ground, and now what have you got? Can you reach a lot more pipe from the ground? All of it, right? Sling it stand it on the ground where it's safe, right? It's not going to roll off on you. Okay? And if you need the pipe, you don't have to load it back on the truck and haul it over to the site, do you? You can just hook onto it with a forklift and drag it over to the site where you need it, right? It's called a skid. You see how that works? Okay, now do you see why it's more productive that way? You see why it's more safe at the same time it's more productive that way? Does that make sense? Okay, let's go to another one here. Okay, let's look at the fact that we've got these pipe spools delivered, okay, and they've got these color codes on them. Okay, well, what does that color code help you do if you're an erector? What do you do in the field? Do you match them up? That color code here, you match those up? That's what you do, right? Can it potentially be very easy to determine where the pipe goes using color-coded pipe like that? Okay, so let's say you've got them color-coded and you're installing the pipe, okay? Is that somehow safer? And if so, why? Why would it be safer? Well, where's the risk when you're installing a pipe? What could happen? Can fingers get involved? Yeah.
Could it be an active line? Do they need to tag it out that nobody would run streaming water or anything? Is it like
Not at this point.
process or not?
Not at this point. You're going to do that in the commissioning phase. You're going to clean it out and so forth. But when you're actually installing the pipe, okay, you got to pick it, you got to sling it, right, with a choker, and then you got to pick it up, you got to go put it where it needs to be, and then you got to, get it close enough that you can, tack weld it, do something. Right now, we don't put fixtures on them to be able to align them and release them and go on. We ought to be doing that, but we don't. So you have to get it close enough that it's going to fit, and then you've got to tack weld it, and then you're going to do the finished weld, aren't you? Okay? So if you're going to do that, and you have a color code on it, is it more likely for you to have the right people in the right places and do it faster? Okay? If you're doing it faster, is that inherently safer in this particular case? Because you're not taking it out and trying to fit it someplace else, right? You see where they're aligned? Does that make sense? And frequently you're going to find this kind of thing going on. You can marry, it's not one or the other, safety or productivity, it's both. It's safety, productivity, duration, all of those elements can be done simultaneously. Okay, you gotta think about it, you gotta look at some lessons learned, say, why aren't we color coding our pipe? Where does that have to be done? Do we want them to have to do that in the field? Or is that going to be done by the pipe fabricator? Okay? Who's going to make sure it matches? You get to the field here, what's one, whoa. If you're going to do this like that, and you're going to be able to pull it over to the job site, work face, and start picking pipe off of the skid and erect it into place, what about the arrangement of the pipe on the skid? What corner does it need to be in? Yeah, you're not going to have it to dig down underneath there, are you? You want to be able to take off the top and then erect it as you go down, right? So somebody's got to get, that's not just going to happen. Somebody's got to make sure that happens, right? So that's a detailing issue and and something you got to work out with your fabricator and your shipper, right? To make sure, because if you don't get it that way, now you've got to take it out of the field, you've got to offload it and put it back on the truck or back on the skid in the right order, right? So it's worse than useless. You spent all that time and money to get it right, you didn't get it right, now you got to do it again, right? So it's rework. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, let's go to urgency. Okay, why is urgency? What do we mean by that? What context does a project manager or anyone in this industry have to deal with urgency? Why is it important? Yeah, any suggestion? Why is this sense of urgency so important? How do we create it? Yeah.
The longer you leave things to chance, the better chance there is something could go wrong.
Okay, yeah, if we could understand a risk, we talked about that, and we come back 2 weeks later and, it happened, nobody did anything about what we talked about, we say, oh my gosh, didn't we just talk about that? But what was lacking? The sense of urgency, right? Somebody's got to tackle that, it's got to be in somebody's work package, and we got to get it done, and we got to get it done now, right? We don't have that sense of urgency, it ain't going to happen, right? Consistently and reliably now. It might happen, somebody might pick up the ball and run with it, okay? But if we're going to beat the competition, there's got to be this sense of urgency, right? We got to learn lessons quickly. Okay, we figured out how to do it, that's got to become our standard. And everybody in the company's got to know about it now, right? So how are we going to disseminate that and make sure everybody knows about it? That when they're planning it, they get it on the skid. They get the color coding on it, right? Does that make sense? We got to get that sense of urgency. Okay, this is what was created by about a $5 million investment by Henry Ford back in the chapter that you read early in the work, or in the class, right? He put in a bunch of ropes, and he made things move. And he said, you've only got so much time to get it done, folks. So you figure out how you're going to get it done in that amount of time, right? And his cost went through the floor because he created a system that everybody could see the sense of urgency. They got it and they bought into it and they figured out how to deal with it, right? We leave way too much to, well, you know, how long it takes is how long it takes. The sense of urgency sometimes exists, but not near at the level that it does in other industries, okay? They put it on the floor. You've got this plane coming by, and all the work packages are next to it. And as it comes by, they have to get on there. You've only got so much time. So get them all the information, all the materials, everything they need so that they can do it, right? That cut the cost, the total labor cost associated with assembling an aircraft in a period of 2 months, it cut it in half. And nobody could see the potential for that. When those Shinji-jutsu guys were standing up in front of the group and they were assembling them all the way we do contracts in our industry, and they recommended you got to clear all this stuff out of here, you got to move back in with planes, 5 planes, you got to make them move. They said it'll never work. And if it did work, it'd cost you way more money. To every single world-class engineer, manufacturing engineer, manager recommended against it to the vice president. But she went back to this sense of urgency, and she said, you know what? We've already done everything you guys told us to do, and it's not working. We're not getting any more contracts, guys. So just do it. They did it. Within 2 months, they had beat all the records. I think it was 6 months before they had got all the bugs worked out enough that they were actually at 50% or 60% of the rate that had ever been achieved in the industry before. We don't understand these simple principles and how impactful they are. Oh my gosh, I mean, what would it take for us to create a sense of urgency for how long it took to get a task done? Do we need to take a pole and put a flag on the top of the pole and put a little motor on it so that it's going down and it takes, you said you'd have it done in so many, minutes or so many days, and when it gets to the bottom, how do we create that sense of urgency in every aspect of what we do? We're not waiting around for the competition to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. Right? Oh. Okay. Recognition. Oh, that's about all out the yakking time I got, I guess, huh? Okay, I want you to go through and have a better discussion of each one of these factors: the sharing, the coaching, provoking, engaging, resourcing, training, personal example. All of these are key elements to managing leadership of anything, especially technical, system, human interfaces, right? How we become what we want to
This one, right? Oh yeah, the comments. Yeah.
So that's why I took out.
Oh my god.
This comment is nothing to do with the data padding. But I will double check with the comment why. Oh, I think
Hey,
Just kidding.
Joel. Fingers get. Damn fingers get. Yes. See on your. Whoa, look at this. Look at all these red lines. You guys know that? Is that going one for Christmas? I'm putting it on.
Amber.
Amber.
Yeah. Okay, ready.
What'd you say?
Great. Great.
We've had it for a while.
Yeah, here it goes. Christine, yeah. Christine. Matt. Samantha.
I can actually take a couple of those. We have lab.
Okay.
Take some English.
Yeah. Charles Pendola.
Oh, man. I thought it was me for a second.
Okay.
But it's not.
Ryan. Brett.
Oh, you missed everything.
Brett Hollander. Marisa. Marisa.
What is that company?
I heard you go. I was talking about our projects.
Ian.
I said, sorry. I'm like, where's that?
So the red, the score in red is the real score. Jessica. Harry.
Signed it yet. I haven't generated it yet.
Charlie.
I hope you
Oh,
have
that's
that
me.
done
You
before.
knew that.
Daniel Basin. Bill. Thank you. Jack. Luke. Luis. Danny. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. So if you